Have you had a good weekend? Covered lots of things? And life is a whole. And as I said, there's different aspects of it. And Liz says that a gal came to talk to them about when they were in college and choosing a husband. And that there are different aspects that you look for. And some of them think, well, if a person is spiritually the same, then that's it. We ought to do that. No, there's more. And then what is your work ethic? And then what kind of family structure are you interested in? Your children? And there's lots of circles that interconnect. And so then you look at the things where you all kind of interconnect. Well, there's a process that God has designed all of us, in which when that is together, then we see the world differently. And if you try to fix parts of it, when it comes back and this part isn't fixed, then it gets out of wobble again. And so you got to start with this, and once the worldview is secure, then you can build a marriage, you can build a business, you can build relationships, you can build all of that. But it's a very intimate, it's a personal thing, and so people tend not to just up and discuss it with you. But if a person voluntarily says, why is it that it's so important to you? Something that's never been important to me, but you say it's so essential to your success. What is that all about? And that's sort of what this session is for, is to identify that there's something more than just money, there's something more than just power, there's something more that makes life worthwhile. And it's described by the person who made us. And he understands how he made us and how it works. And so it's a worldview. And a worldview as to who's going to be in charge. So the person that made us, he left a manual and explained us how it should work. And when people describe how to do things, they say that you should read the manual. Well, let me just tell you, I did that for a long time, and I didn't understand the manual. And so a lot of other people the same way. And so then they say, I'm missing something, and they just walk off, and you keep studying, doing your work, or whatever it is to do. And so I'm just going to give you a little example as to how this works. I'm going to read a little bit out of the manual for just a second. It says this: there is now therefore no condemnation to them that are in Christ Jesus, who walk not after the flesh, but after the Spirit. For they that after the flesh do mind the things of the flesh, but they that the Spirit, the things of the Spirit. For to be fleshly minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. So then they that are in the flesh cannot please God. But you're not in the flesh. So I would read things like that, and I think, what in the world is that? So I needed to figure it out, because I'm kind of simple. And people would have these jargons, they'd have these words that they would use, and they would talk about being washed in the blood and being born of the Spirit, and just, I can remember as a little kid just thinking, whenever they say, what does that mean? So what I had to work it out as to what it meant. So I have just read this. I'm going to put it over here. In about 25 minutes, we're going to come back and we're going to read it again. And what I'm going to do in the interim is to explain to you God's plan for man, his plan of salvation and how it works. And then once you see the plan, then you can describe it with little shorthand, little references. You say, oh, I understand. I see how that works. Because when God made us, he made us in three parts. He gave us, oh, look at, oh, I might feel led to steal these. This is wonderful. All right. So anyway, you can't believe how happy I feel. When God made us, he made us in three parts. He gave us a body, and like we say, everybody has one. Some of us have more than we wish we had. But and he also gave us a soul, and he also gave us a spirit. And God made people because he wanted to have fellowship. We'll talk about that in a minute. Another word for the soul is also the mind. And so you'll hear people talk or read books about the body, mind, and spirit, the body, soul, and spirit. It's the same thing. Another terminology for mind is when you make up your mind. What's that called? That's called the will. And the will is also the seat of the emotions. It's where you feel things not in your body, but you feel in your soul. And also another term would be the heart. So the scripture says, as a man thinketh, so where would you think? You would think in your mind, right? So as a man thinketh in his, it doesn't say mind, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So heart, soul, mind, it all means the same thing. And so when God made, first of all, he had people that he could have relationships with, but they had seen him and they were with him, and that natural tendency to be like God, Satan said, I shall ascend to the throne. I shall be like the Most High. God said, oh, you will. And so there was a confrontation, and he said, I want people that I can trust. I want people that willfully choose to follow me. People that haven't seen me, but I will lay out the lifestyle that I would like to have them enjoy. And if they choose it, then we will have eternity, have fellowship with him. And so he made man, and he gave him everything that he wanted. He owned everything that there was. And he had the drilling rights, all the entire place, and there were no billboard restrictions or anything. He could do anything he wanted. But there was one restriction, that was, see that tree over there? He said, I don't want you to eat of the tree. And not that the tree had anything particular, it's the decision as to whether or not you're going to do what I say or going to do what he says. We've all had children in a high chair. We know, do it my way. And so he just said, I don't want you to do that. And the reason for it was that he had fellowship. God is a spirit, and so they would have fellowship. At the end of the day, he would come and he would communicate with them. And there are two sources of input. There's input from the flesh, see, smell, taste, and feel, the five senses, but also had spiritual input. And he said, and so everything got along fine. But he said, the day that you choose to do what you want to do and not what I say, the day that you eat of the tree, you will surely die. And so what happens is that the relationship would be broken. And so if you choose to go your way, sin is anything that separates us from God. So the day that you choose to do what you want to do, you will surely die. There will be death in this part because we will be spiritually separated. So if I have flowers here and I cut off the flowers and hold it up, it still looks nice, but it's cut off from its source, it is dead. And he said, so if you choose to do that, you will surely die. Now, Satan comes along and he says the opposite. So one way you could find out what the Lord wants you to do is just follow what Satan says and do the opposite, because he will always do the opposite of what you read the magazines on how to have a good marriage and do just the opposite, because the magazines will say, do what makes you feel good. You must be having, rather than giving. So Satan has a plan that will just take you. It's just the opposite. So he said, you won't die. He said, what will happen is you'll be like God, knowing good and evil. And so they decide, I'm going to do it my way. And he said, well, why does that matter? Well, let me just put it like this. Suppose that you hire your nephew. You work for Brinks, and your young nephew needs a job. And so you're in charge of these Brinks trucks. And so you say to him, I get you this really nice job. What you're supposed to do is pick up these new packs of money and distribute them to these 12 banks every day, and that's what you do, and then you pick up the checks and take them back. But see, the money, it's all wrapped and numbered and tallied and everything, and has a seal on it, and under no circumstances do you break the seal. You understand? You don't break the seal at all. Yeah, okay, fine. So after a few weeks, well, just a little bit. It's not like I'm going to murder anybody or anything. I just take a little bit of the money. I'll break the seal. No. See, once you decide to break the seal, can't trust you anymore. That's it. You're not going to progress in this company. We can't give you more territory. You can't do anything because you've decided that you can take money when you feel like it. So, well, it's not like I took $1 million or anything. It's not like I murdered anybody. It's not like I did anything. It's just a little sin. No. It's not the sin. It's the principle as to who's going to be in charge. And if you're going to decide when you're going to break the seal, then I can't have you working in this company. And so God said, if you do what I say, then we'll have great fellowship. But the day that you break the seal and do it my way, then we can't trust one another. And so what happened was that they did their thing. Sin separates us from God. So God came to look for them. What did they do? They went and hid.